Hello and welcome to another video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. We are looking ahead to Fantasy Premier League Game Week 29. It's a double game week, and it's not just any double game week, it's the biggest of the season. So lots of bench boosts, other chips will be in play, more players, more choice, more points, hopefully. We are focusing today on the underachievers on the goals imminent table. We'll explain a bit more about what that is and how underlying stats can help predict future returns and FPL points in Fantasy Premier League. We'll look at its sister table, Assist Imminent. We'll reveal our Game Week 29 transfer plans. In addition, we will, at the end, take a few questions. Not so many this time because it's international break. And so we acknowledge things will change, but the stats won't change. So that's why we can do Goals Imminent now. So we'll have one or two questions, so have a think about those in the live chat. My name is Joe, and joining me to unearth some under-the-radar gems is Tom Freeman, Fantasy Football Scout's Deputy Editor. Tom, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks, Joe. It's been quite an eventful start to the international break. We've already had flags appearing left, right and centre on Haaland and Rashford and a few others. We've just put the latest on those up on the site now if you want to get updated on those. But let's just hope it's all precautionary and they are international break injuries, and we'll all be all right for double game week 29.
Yeah, it's tricky, this one, because these are actual qualifiers, aren't they? It's not like just some random team against, I don't know, playing Guernsey or whatever. So this is quite important. So for Haaland to not represent his country and to drop out for Man City, that does seem quite a bit more serious than usual. Same for Rashford as well. Form player. He's going to want to play for England, but
well, they both came off early in the FA Cup. I mean, admittedly, in Haaland's case, he had already done the damage by that point. But they've reported a groin injury, so I think we're just going to have to monitor that one. Let's just hope it is like precautionary. And it's nothing too serious, but I think a lot of us are planning to bench boost in 29. And I don't own Haaland, but I do own Rashford, so obviously need him to be fit and firing for that one.
Yes, indeed. Just before we move on, what we're going to do is we're going to look at our goals imminent and assists imminent tables from last week to see how we got on. A lot of those players didn't actually play because there was a blank game week for them, so we do bear that in mind. Welcome to those joining us in the live chat. Do remember to press that like button and do subscribe if you're not already. Hi to Paul Van Rensburg, Friedrich, A. Dawson, Let's Talk Vinyl, Big A, Jojo, Ishan, and more. Thanks so much for joining us. Look forward to chatting with you as the show goes on. Also, another reminder that as well as looking at our lovely faces, you can listen to our lovely voices if you you can do a podcast only. So all of our videos are available as podcasts. Very handy for dog walkers, commuters, and those who have more time to listen rather than look and listen. Okay, let's move on. Goals imminent. This is how we got on last week. Okay, so a few of them didn't play. So Nketiah's top didn't play. Jesus did play, didn't score. Iheanacho, did he get on at all? Did he get on the pitch at all in that game?
I think just for a minute, he was dropped, which we did touch on last week, but it might happen, and it did happen. So, he had very limited time to make an impact.
Okay, so, even blank so far for us, but, not to be helped. Pereira at Fulham, he didn't play. Mitrovic didn't play. But I've got a new little crappy graphic of a cup from Mitrovic because he scored in the cup. So I'm acknowledging that his goal was imminent there. Felix for Chelsea, he's our only success here in the Premier League. So is it Felix or Havertz? Which one now do we go for if we go for a Chelsea attacker at all?
Well, I think they're both pretty good for the double, and it's a good double. It's back-to-back matches at Stamford Bridge. I would probably still put Havertz slightly ahead. I mean, we saw the power of penalties at the weekend, didn't we? And that gives him a nice little boost. But Felix, I think it's probably his best performance yet at the weekend. And I don't dislike him as a kind of a differential pick for the double.
No, definitely. Fernandes at Manchester United. Manchester United didn't play, but Fernandes did score in the cup. In fact, he completely annihilated a Fulham who arguably annihilated themselves. I was in the kitchen doing some washing up as that game was on. And so I did listen to it, and I could not believe what was unfolding. It was a complete car crash of a football match for Fulham. So well done, Manchester United, for taking advantage of them. And Bowen and Ben Rahm for West Ham, they didn't play at all. I think got a feeling we're going to mention Bruno Fernandes in a bit, so I won't dwell on him.
Yeah.
This is how we got on with the assists imminent table. Once again, quite a few didn't play and quite a few blanks. So March for Brighton didn't play in the league. Havertz did play, but no assists this time. McNeil, no assists this time. Traore at Bournemouth is always on this list at the moment because this is his last 4 matches that they played. And Sancho for Manchester United obviously they didn't play. Odegaard and Son did play, both North London teams in action in game week 28. Odegaard didn't assist, but Son did, so we have some success there. Alexander-Arnold, no fixture there. Ward-Prowse, he scored but didn't assist, and St Maximum for Newcastle. He could be interesting because it looks like there's some injuries up top for Newcastle. St Maximum might get a bit more game time, do you think?
Yeah, so Gordon's out, and Almiron as well joined him just before deadline. We got the news kind of filtering through, and I think he's been ruled out for 6 weeks, by Eddie Howe. So that means there is less kind of competition up top. But the problem for St Maximum is he came off at half time in the match on Friday, and I think Eddie Howe said it was a tight hamstring. It wasn't a pulled hamstring, but it was a tight hamstring. And the problem that he's got now is that Anderson came on for him, and he was absolutely superb. So I would worry about that a little bit, just in terms of his game time and minutes over the next few weeks. It hasn't been quite happening for him recently. No. And they've also got Isak's been playing exceptionally well up front. They've got the option of obviously bringing Callum Wilson back in and perhaps pushing Isak into a wider position. So, yeah, St Maximum, I probably wouldn't go there right now.
Okay, let's move on to the goals imminent table ahead of this big double game week 29. Once again, this is last 4 matches, and there's a variety of ways you can be on this table and off this table. What you need to be is you need to have had at least 10 shots, but no more than 1 goal. As soon as you score more than 1 goal, you're off the table. That's in a good way. You can fall off the table, just simply your stats just don't keep matching up. You just don't get the shots away. I've also added some expected data so that those that like that can understand that a bit more, and also I've filtered it by that as well, so that sort of takes a bit of priority on there, the quality of the shots. So it's not just shots, it's the quality of those shots as well. And you can also just stick around that table for a long time. Apparently there's Nathan Redmond bingo going on in the live chat sometimes for this, so I won't mention him, although I just have. But yes, you can be the sort of player like him that can stay here forever and never ever score. Here we go, goals imminent. Going week 29. Nketiah is still there. His last 4 matches played, so he's injured. He's injured for a while, so we can skip over him. Pereira at Fulham. I think we can skip over him as well because I don't think people are going to invest in Fulham with a single match at the moment. The same for Mitrovic as well. Jesus only got 1 match, and he's probably currently, you would think Jesus is second choice currently because he's second choice to Trossard, you would imagine at the moment, just because Jesus is just coming back from injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's getting more minutes, isn't he? I think he got 25 at the weekend, and then following on from his kind of 15 minutes at Fulham the week before. So I think he'll be ready to start after the international break, and it wouldn't surprise me if he gets one of those games. But Trossard is playing very, very well too, so it's hard to drop him. But I do see a bit of rotation there, which makes him either of them quite difficult buys in FPL.
Definitely. I know some people will come to our own teams, but some people are thinking of moving on some of their Arsenal assets as well. But for perhaps one of these next 3, and I've highlighted them because I think they're all under consideration. I think if you go into this double game week with all 3 of them, you could be in for a very good points haul. Fernandes, Manchester United. He's had 1 chance. He's missed it. 5 shots on target. Should have scored at least a goal over the last 4, or just under a goal last 4. 7 shots in the box, 11 shots in total. Been on this table for 4 weeks. He is due to hop off. Bowen. West Ham. He's 8 million. He's had a couple of shots on target, but he's got some tasty fixtures in the double game week. Shots in the box 7 and 10 shots in total. And then there's Maddison, 8.2, got an assist last time out. Once again, great fixtures in the double. If, fingers crossed, because I own him, he can remain fit. He's had 3 shots on target so far. He's often on the assist imminent table. He's not often on the goals imminent table because he tends to haul quite quick. I hope he does well there. So just taking those 3, really. I mean, does this highlight, the array of options we have, especially in midfield ahead of this double game week?
Yeah, that's exactly it, Joe, because you've got players like Rashford and the Brighton midfielders who have obviously been doing the business, so they're not on this table, but you've got to, they're under consideration this week, and they'll be in a lot of people's teams as well. So, but I think Fernandes, Bowen and Maddison, I think they're all great options for the double. I'm thinking about playing a free hit in 32, so that makes United players a bit more appealing for me because they're going to blank then. So getting in Fernandes now works in my setup. Got the 2 goals at the weekend. I think there's been a bit of talk about him playing deeper with Casemiro out, but they've got other players they can play there, Sabitzer and Fred, McTominay. I think Eriksen's on the way back as well. So I don't really see that. And Fernandes in a double game week, he's already had 2 this year. He's delivered in both of them. So great option, I think. Bowen has got those 2 home games, Southampton and Newcastle.
Yeah, he's much better at home, isn't he, Bowen?
Yeah, tends to do well, tends to take a lot of shots. I think he's the differential pick, isn't he, out of this trio? But if you're looking to take more of a punt, then I think I like him quite a bit. And Maddison, like you say, he got that assist at the weekend. He got booked as well, so I think it was only 4 points he got. But I think there's a haul in for Maddison soon. He's building up his fitness. He came off with cramp at the weekend, but it's nothing serious. He's going to get some more minutes, probably on international duty with England. So I like them all, to be honest. All of those 3. Are you kind of eyeing at one in particular, Joe?
I've already got Maddison. The question for me, the only non-double game week, we'll come to my team in a bit, but the only non-double game week midfielder I've got is Saka. And I'm not sure I really want to take Saka out ahead of Leeds, the Leeds fixture in game week 29. If I had another Arsenal mid, I'd be very tempted to move on, but we'll come to those decisions in a sec, because I think you might be in that boat. But yeah, if I was to get another one, it'd be Fernandes, obviously, because there's something about him in double game weeks. I don't know what that is, but for some reason he is absolutely superb in double game weeks. I think you might have just dropped out a little bit there, Tom, but I was just saying Fernandes would be my pick if I did.
Yeah, I got a little notification saying the internet connection was unstable, but you've kicked back in and it seems okay for now. It's all
back in. Yeah. I think Maddison's a great option. I think Fernandes is great. I think Bowen, they're all great options. If I had a wild card now, I'd probably go all 3. I'll just go all in. Let's look at those last 2. Probably sketch over them really. Ben Rama at West Ham. Obviously, you've got to look at minutes there, and I think Bowen ahead of this home fixtures would be the one to go there. But he is only 5.5. 6 shots on target. Son is interesting, as is Kane, because there's strong rumours. By the time anyone sees this, there's strong rumours they may have a temporary manager in post because Conte has sort of done a Fulham and with his mouth and opened it, and lots of things have come out to mean that he might move on, not do very well as a Tottenham manager in the future. So he may well still be in post, but nevertheless, that could be good for Son and Kane. Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of rant was extraordinary, wasn't it? Really, at the weekend, I couldn't quite believe what I was hearing about it, but it sounds like he's lost the dressing room. Understandably, after those kind of comments. So Ryan Mason coming in on a temporary basis, which is what I kind of read might happen earlier, it might galvanise them a bit. I mean, they've got a tricky fixture at Everton, who have been pretty good at home under Sean Dyche. They've then got a very tough fixture against Brighton, but then they've got Bournemouth at home. Yeah. So I'm probably going to keep Kane. I'm not sure longer term. I might need to move him back to Haaland in 30. Okay. But against Everton, probably with a new manager in place by that point, it feels like an okay fixture.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Kane at the moment, but there will be some people with Son. They got him in for the blank game week,
Yeah,
and
got the assist.
I think Son and Kane could be good. Obviously, there's international minutes as well to take into account, but I don't think Son's done particularly too badly after internationals, so there's no history there. Anyway,
it's just a lot of money, isn't it? Yeah. It's that's the thing. I think he was a really good free hit pick, and maybe a bit unfortunate not to get more people who took the punt on him.
So Son, 4 shots on target, 5 shots inside the box, 10 shots in total. His expected goal delta is not so high as the other one, so 0.14. So, but that's often quite common with Son. He scores goals that most players probably wouldn't score, but not so good this season. But historically, that's the way he's been. Let's move on to assists imminent. This is a minimum of 7 chances created to get on here. Once again, more than 1 assist, you're off the table in a good way. And if you don't reach those 7 chances over the last 4 matches, you gradually drift off this table. So looking at this list, I've highlighted a couple of key sort of players here. I say sort of players. They could get lots of routes to points, and so let's just go from Maddison first. Even though he's a bit lower down this table, his expected assist delta is 0.42, so he should have got half an assist, and over his 1 assist he's already got, so he should have 1.5 assists, whatever that means. So 12 corners, 13 chances created. Those with a good memory, you can cast their mind back to about 4 minutes ago. He was on the goals imminent table, let's have a look. There he is there. So just to remind people, there he is, goals imminent table, and he's on the assists imminent table. When you're on both of these and you got a double game week, that's a player you want to get in. Does this elevate Maddison into the top midfield pick to get if you're like free hitting, for example, for this double game week?
I think if you're free hitting, I think absolutely it'd be in there. I think it's a really good double. They're going to go to a Palace side under Roy Hodgson, who was just appointed this morning. And then they've got Villa at home after that. But it's also what comes after, though. And so in terms of a longer term transfer target, they've got Bournemouth at home, and then they've got Wolves a couple of weeks after and Leeds. So I think if you're without a free hit, because he doesn't blank in 32, I think Maddison would be a really nice transfer this week, and I'm just sure a haul's going to come soon with him.
Just want to point out, I've made a slight error on this table, so I can sketch over it quickly now. The weeks on the table bit is wrong. That was originally a column for something else, and I was to fill in the weeks on table bit, but I clearly forgot for that bit. Essentially, so apologies for that. Some of these players, most of them have been on this table for some time, but there are some new entries here, of which Maddison is one of them. So ignore that weeks on the table column there. Just sketch over that. Other names on here. March at Brighton, 5.1 million he costs. 8 chances created, 9 corners, 2 goals. He has scored last 4. No assists though, so he should be getting assists to go with his 5 successful crosses as well. March, he's still on this table. I think that is, ages ago I said he was the best Brighton mid to get, and then Matoma promptly scored and March blanked. So I felt maybe I've got this wrong, but I think I'm right now, and I don't own March, but I think March probably is the best, isn't he?
Well, it's that dual threat, isn't it? It's that, like you spoke about with Maddison, it's goals and assists he can provide. It's interesting because we put together a bus team yesterday for the scout picks, and we wanted 2 Brighton midfielders in, and I ended up putting in McAllister and Mitoma. It goes out on social media, and there's immediate kickback saying Marsh has been robbed. Where is he? And it's a value. It's very different. All 3 are very, very good picks. I like Marsh. He's in my own team. He probably, he's as good as McAllister right now. As McAllister's got penalties. And I think as long as McAllister stays as a number 10, he's got to be right up there, hasn't he, Joe? Yeah. But probably Marsh over Mitoma, I guess, because of the stats recently. But look, any one of them could haul, couldn't they? You're the Brighton fan, Joe.
Yeah, all 3. If I want all 3, I want Fernandes, Bowen, Maddison. That's 6 midfielders. So. That's the trouble. There's too many. You just got to pick your 2. They're all going to score and do well, as proved in the last double game week. So you just pick your two and go with it. We've got Odegaard at the top here, 8 chances created. His assist is very much due. He's crept to the top of this table. 5 corners there, 4 successful crosses. Troy Ore at Bournemouth, once again, is still on here, obviously, because he's not really getting the minutes for his last 4 matches. Gross, 5.4 at Brighton, 9 chances created, 16 corners. That's where his assist's going to come from. Sancho at Manchester United could be a differential option, 7 chances created, a couple of goals already, but no successful crosses. And Boma at Brentford. So Brentford, people are thinking of moving on their Brentford player, but they might get some joy from Boma. And Trent Alexander-Arnold. That is quite an interesting player to put on there. 7.3 million he costs. Always forget his price because it's been so long he's in my team. But 7 chances created, 9 corners, 8 successful crosses. That's good. The 8 successful crosses. Alexander-Arnold, he's tough to fit in most setups, isn't he? But got a double game week coming up. He's got further double game weeks. Could be a good differential option, do you think, Alexander-Arnold?
My only worry with them is that both matches are on the road in 29, and Liverpool have been really poor on their travels this year. I think they've only won 3 matches. Looking at their kind of expected data away from home, I think they're 15th for minutes per expected goal conceded. They concede a lot of big chances on the road. So the fact they follow it up with a game against Arsenal, I think it's a lot of money to be spending on Trent, given that he's 7.3 at the moment. I don't think I'm ever going to say he's a terrible option in a double game week, because we know from past seasons what he can do. But I would feel a lot more comfortable if one of those fixtures was at Anfield in the double.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's move on to our teams there. So some really good options there, and particularly on those midfielders for goals imminent and assists imminent there, particularly Maddison. Ward-Prowse as well is on the assist imminent to go with his goal, still there. 11 chances created, 22 corners. Wow. He has scored, so he's on pens. He's had 7 successful crosses. Just before we move on, I mean, he is actually a good differential, isn't he, for the double game? I mean, as it proved last week.
Yeah, I think the people who had really good weeks were the ones who captained Saka and then had a differential like Ward-Prowse, who I think got 10 points, didn't he?
Yeah.
Left it late, but that was a really good week for those managers who went for that captaincy with Saka and had him. I think we said last week, I think the time for move for Southampton was ahead of their double in 27. Now I'm not quite so sure, but he's a player. It shows the power of set pieces, doesn't it? Because they don't have to have good games and they can just pop up at the end. And Ward-Prowse is always good for bonus because of the style of play, the passes that he puts together. He might become an option before the end of the season again.
Let's have a look at your team. So I'm presuming you're going to bench boost. And so if you want to read out your team, it's 3-4-3, but your bench is looking good. So read out all 15.
Yeah, okay. So we've got Kepa and Raya as the goalkeepers, both with doubles. Trippier, Botman, Chilwell and Henry, the defenders with doubles. And I've also got Gabriel for that home match against Leeds. 3 players who double in midfield, Marsh, McAllister and Rashford, who is my current captain. And then Saka and Odegaard with just the 1 match. And then up front, I've got Tony and Watkins, who played twice, and Kane as well.
So just just 3 single game week players, and they're all playing for the league leaders. That's right. Yep.
And Kane.
No, 4.
Kane.
Sorry, 4 and Kane. So one of the best strikers Premier League's ever known, and 3 players who are great for the league leaders, and the rest are all doublers, and most of them really good doublers as well. So what are your plans? You have 2 transfers or 1?
I've got 1. I got 1 free transfer. I made 2 last week, but one of them involved selling Haaland. So I've got 5.7 million in the bank. So pretty much any option is open this week. The obvious move, which I think a lot of people are eyeing up this week, is Odegaard to Fernandes. I think because I own 2 Arsenal midfielders, the fact that I am planning to free hit in 32 when Arsenal play Southampton at home, and I can bring back in 3 for that, I'm okay with selling Odegaard this week. Maddison I've considered as well as Bowen, but I think Fernandes providing he gets through this international break on penalties, hopefully playing further forward again. I think he looks like a really nice option. And then that would mean that I bench boost with Raya and Henry from Brentford, and then Gabriel and Kane, who would probably be the player who dropped to the bench if Fernandes came in.
Okay.
And then in game week 30, that would then mean that I'd have to sell Kane if I want Haaland back, because obviously all the funds would then be shifted into midfield if I went with Fernandes.
Okay. So if you didn't go for Fernandes, you could shift Tony to Haaland in game week 30.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, it's just where I want to kind of allocate those funds. Tony is obviously on this 1 yellow card away from a ban. He doesn't have a great fixture in 30 at home to Newcastle, so that is ideally I would do that, but it depends how much I want Fernandes this week and how well I see Kane doing as well. If Conte does leave, what impact is that going to have on him? I think I seem to recall Kane doing pretty well under Mason before. Kane is Kane, isn't it? It probably really doesn't matter if the manager's there. He's the focal point. He's the main man. So, yeah, I've just got to weigh that up. But I think Fernandes might be quite hard to resist this week. So that's probably what I'm going to do.
Definitely. And, of course, it doesn't matter who goes on the bench. If you're bench boosting, it just it's there. But I can see it's fun to rearrange it. And you always, I mean, I've done the same. I sort of put my weakest players as in single game week players and
I tried to,
because that's who you're bench boosting really, and that's why you're using the bench boost. So I tend to look at it like that. But you
can't be putting Rashford, Fernandes, and Chilwell on the bench, can you? Well, you can, but it would be. But yeah, it's hard to gauge then how successful the bench boost was.
So really well set up here, and with the transfer, you know, the world's your oyster really with all that money in the bank. It's just a question of how. You get Haaland back. Haaland is as we said at the beginning, is injured at the moment on international duty, but we don't know to the extent of that. So it could be nothing in terms of the next Premier League game. But you seem to have a lot of the key players in place there. Let's have a look at my team. Very similar, because you wildcarded 26, I wildcarded 27. I wildcarded into a very similar team. And of course, I got Watkins and Chilwell in on my 27 team, so who were very popular players for wildcarders to bring in. So now the 26 and 27 wildcard teams have converged. We've merged into one now. We are now as one, and we march into 29 as a united force. So I have got my 15. I've got Kepa in goal. I'm bench boosting, by the way. I've got Trippier, Chilwell, Henry for now, and Botman. At the back, so double Newcastle defence there, and I've got McAllister, Matoma, Maddison, and Rashford, who's my current captain. If he is actually properly injured and properly can't compete, obviously I will switch that to probably Maddison there, which will be a slightly more maverick move for me to go for Maddison as a captain, but I do think he is the best other option I have here. I've also got Watkins, Tony. And what an odd bench boost I never thought I'd have at the beginning of the season. I've got Jason Steele, who hopefully will retain his place against Brighton, against Brett.
He hasn't done anything wrong. I know Sanchez came in at the weekend, didn't he, Joe? But it'd be odd to drop Steele now.
Yeah, I mean Sanchez didn't have to do much against Grimsby. There's a wonderful clip doing the rounds if people see it of Brighton olaying their way multiple passes around Grimsby, and all results in a goal. And I know it's only Grimsby, but it's just the extent of the way it is down there on the south coast at the moment. Also on the bench, Kane and Saka, who on my bench boost. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of Saka for Fernandes. That is what some people are going to do. I'm not getting rid of Saka. No.
Yeah, I don't think I would if it was Saka. It's just I've got that second Arsenal mid, but very hard to sell. I think only Haaland and Kane have got more attacking returns over the year, so it's consistency. And it feels like a dangerous move going without Saka, because you're at a very good rank, aren't you, Joe? So I don't think you want to leave yourself open to that.
Yeah, I took a slight dip from 21k to 24k. But I was 15k at one point over the weekend, but obviously it's just in a mid-game week. But yeah, my lack of Arsenal put me down a little bit. But yeah. Not too bad. And I've got Pinnock also with a double game week. I'm probably going to keep Pinnock because I think Pinnock and Henry are probably going to be on my bench most weeks. Obviously, it's bench boost this week. Most weeks, they're going to be on my bench. So I've just gone for the cheaper one because I might need that money at some point there. But I might go for Henry if there looks to be, you know, a significant chasm in attacking threat or anything like that. But yeah, so my move is going to be Henry to Shaw. Like you, I have a free hit in hand. Game week 32, Brighton, Man City, Manchester United and Chelsea all blank. I'm already stocked up on 3 Brighton, 2 Chelsea, and so I'm looking at I'm looking to get Haaland in. That's another one. I've already got Rashford. I'm free to go for these top teams, these top attacking teams. So sure, no problem. At some point I might get Fernandes in as well because in 32 I can free hit that, so I can use them for, and they'll get more doubles as well because their involvement in the cup will mean more cancellations, more doubles coming up in 34 and 37. I think are going to be the big double weeks. So I set out this sort of strategy a couple of weeks ago, and I'm sort of going to stick to it. Obviously, injuries, international injuries, would prevent that. But you know, it's good to chat about these things now. But yeah, I'm okay with this. I think
it looks really strong, and I don't think that there's no obvious route to Fernandes, so you don't want to rip your team up for him, do you?
It's I've got over 6 million in the bank. I want to move Tony to Haaland in 30, and I can do that with $1 million or so spare, so I have to worry about prices.
And I think the double Brentford part at the back is probably the weakest link in that team.
Fix weakest links first. That's another. Good
I'm not in a position where I can do that. Well, I could, but I think I've got other fires to kind of put out first or moves to make. But in your position, getting in Shaw. Yeah, that seems really good because he's got good fixtures to follow as well, hasn't he? He's got Everton and Forest after the double. So
I like Ollie Watkins at the moment. Another return, another week, another return.
Watkins. He was unlucky not to do more. We were really good on Saturday, really controlled performance, and you can just see over the last 4 games under Emery, things are starting to move in the right direction. He's starting to get his ideas in place, and Watkins is just, you know, there won't be many 3-0 wins that Villa have where he isn't, it doesn't get a goal, but at least he kind of kept it. I think he's got 8 attacking returns in the last 8 matches now, so he kept that run going, and I feel pretty confident going with him. Chelsea and Leicester away, I think he can get a goal in the double for sure.
Okay, before we go, we can take some questions in the live chat. So if you've got any questions in the live chat, do put them in there and we'll answer them. A reminder that there'll be no goals imminent next week on Tuesday. Me and Tom will be resurrecting the captaincy video, which Haaland's has sort of ruined for us this season. I'm sure it'll be back next season more regularly, but this season we basically just say Haaland and some other blokes, but this time there is a lot more other blokes to challenge, so we're going to look at that and look at the fixtures there. So if any questions, do leave them in the live chat. We had lots of comments so far. FPL Spartans has kindly pointed out that Maddison is on 8 yellow cards, so that makes him safe for this one. But if for some reason he gets a yellow card in each of his next 2 matches, that means he is facing a ban, so he will be surplus to requirements in game week 30. Jojo has mentioned that he doesn't get the same number of yellows as Tony, so we should be okay there. So quite a few of you already. Let's have a look. Chat Sport question: Hold Mudryk. He's got Mudryk at Chelsea. Worth keeping, even though with a double, but restricted minutes.
I think see what happens with Sterling, because I think they're the 2 players in this new Chelsea system which are kind of competing with each other, with Felix and Havertz dropping in and creating space for that kind of pacey front player. So if Sterling's ruled out, I think Mudryk is a really good hold for the double. If Sterling's back, then and depending on how far on he is in terms of match sharpness and fitness, that might become risky. But again, I don't like selling players ahead of double game weeks really. So I'd probably hold him. I think, and just hope that Sterling's out.
Okay, so Killian has asked thoughts on Saka and Tony to Bruno Fernandes and Isak on 2 free transfers. So Isak obviously scored for Newcastle, looking great at the moment. I would say Tony to Isak. That's pretty stress-free. Yeah. I would do that. Saka to Fernandes. I think that's going to be the key question that consumes the community this week. I could do that, but I'm not going to, and you're not going to do that. So that's probably our answer, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's Leeds at home. It's a good fixture for Arsenal, isn't it? I don't think it would surprise any of us if he gets double digits in that. He then travels to Liverpool and West Ham when Fernandes has Everton and Forest. So maybe the fixtures are a bit better for Fernandes, but Saka's just been so good throughout the season. Arsenal, they don't have any European distractions now. Domestic cup, it's the league. That's the focus. And I think you're going to want him back as well. So I'm not so sure on that move for Saka to Fernandes. I don't think I would do that.
No. A bit of chat about Sanchez and Steele, the great 1970s cop duo, Sanchez and Steele. As far as we know, Steele will be keeping his place. Sanchez has just played Grimsby. So that was... You're not really going to tell much from that. And I have not seen it. Steele hasn't done anything wrong. People who are Sunderland fans still cannot believe that Steele is the number one choice for one of the form teams in the Premier League at the moment. But I think until we hear otherwise, we have to assume Steele is there for the double, I think. But I don't know if you've heard anything else otherwise.
No, that's it. I mean, if Steele was coming off the back of a bad performance and then Sanchez comes in and keeps a clean sheet, albeit against Grimsby, then you're starting to think, is now the time Dizabi reintroduces him? But he hasn't done anything wrong at all. He's played really well. And I would be really, I mean, what's that going to do to Steele's you bring him in, he plays really well. I don't think you drop him straight away. I don't think he's secure for the rest of the season. I wouldn't go that far, but for now, for this double, I think he looks pretty good. I mean, we can't guarantee it, but I'd be happy playing him in this double game week, I think.
Lennox has asked any merit in selling Kane for a double game week forward instead of Arsenal mid, because he's getting a bit nervous about selling one of the best midfields we've got at the moment in Arsenal. Well, I think we've already touched on that with Kane. If there's going to be a new manager, temporary manager coming in, I'd be holding fire with Kane, because you never know. You never know. He's capable of getting hat-tricks any game.
I think if I had to sell one, Joe, if it was Saka or Kane, though, I probably would favour selling Kane, I think.
Yeah,
because he's obviously a lot more money. It's 3 million more.
Yeah. He has got Martinelli, though, so he's the version of your Odegaard. So I think I'd be tempted to do Martinelli. Because I wouldn't want to have too much Arsenal at the moment.
I get that. Yeah,
just because of the fixtures there. Just one more question from Jojo. He's thinking of doing Zinchenko to Shaw. So I'm interested in Shaw as well. And Tarkowski for Emerson for West Ham because of those home games. He's 4.0 enabler with a great double game week and also a great enabler moving forward. Emerson has started the last two. So what do we think? Emerson as an intriguing enabler differential for this week.
I would just worry if he's nailed on for all of these games, and I would probably want to go and do a bit of research and speak to some West Ham fans because he hasn't been he started recently, but I think he missed a match not so long ago. Yeah. And you've obviously got Cresswell there. I think it depends on the system which they play as well, because he's more of a wing back, whereas Cresswell is more of an actual fullback. So I would just want to go and do my research on that and check that he's definitely going to play every one of these games, which is what you need him for. If he is, then great. He's 4 million. And West Ham, like we said, are better at home, aren't they? So Southampton and Newcastle, you might get one clean sheet out of that.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us in the live chat. I hope your international break's going well. I hope you consume as much FPL coverage as you need. So there's less videos and podcasts this week, but we've still got plenty. Myself and Mark, a bit later this week, will be looking at the best attackers and best defenders, including goalkeepers, since the World Cup in FPL. So that gives us an idea players to target going forward if we think that predict some future returns there. Also, there's a Scoutcast Extra. So we'll be looking there. So Andy and Rich will be on hand to look at the over and under achievers so far since the World Cup, and to once again give us some ideas there. But the actual Scoutcast proper, when they talk about their teams in more detail, and also how they got on the previous week, and the community teams and all the other features they have there, that Scoutcast proper will be back next Monday. So this is a sort of an extra. So aren't you lucky? Thanks everyone for joining us. Good luck with your game week. Thanks as ever, Tom, for joining me there and giving some great insight into some of those players. But for now, we'll see you next week for the captaincy video. See you all soon.
Thanks, Jay. See you soon.